Mrs. McCoy, let's get this over with so we can get you home to your husband in time for dinner, shall we?" She nodded, slightly nervous, as I sat in front of her and examined her eye through our newest instrument for laser operation. We were among the first in the country to introduce this way of operating on the eyes, and that made our clinic among the top 5 in the country. In 6 months, our clinic had gone from having 1 operating room to 4, in which clinic doctors performed eye surgeries. That meant we made 4 times as much money as Dr. Kirk had been back when he ran the clinic. Mrs. McCoy was my 5th patient this day. It took about 5 minutes to cut away a small circle-shaped area of the lens capsule in her dilated eye and replace it with a new lens, causing the cataract to disappear forever from her eye. Less than a year ago, I had been operating the old-fashioned way, using physical instruments like a phacoemulsification probe to cut out the lens. So it is easy to say that the new technique had improved my life a whole lot. And Heather's as well, since we now had more money for her to spend. "The nurse will provide you with glasses to wear as you leave the clinic," I said as I completed the procedure. "Your pupils are still dilated and you need to protect them from the sun." I rolled my chair backwards and looked at her. This was the only few seconds I actually spent with the patient. The rest was taken care of by the nurses. They prepped them and dilated their pupils and so on. This small procedure was all I had to do, but this was what they paid us for. I nodded and sighed. "Any questions?" I asked, glancing at the clock on the wall behind her. Mrs. McCoy shook her head. They always did. They never dared to actually talk to the doctor when he finally made his appearance. They spent all day waiting for this moment, and just like that, it was over. "Okay then, feel free to call the clinic at any time if you feel any pain or discomfort. Miss Maria here will take care of you from now on." "It's Mrs. now," the nurse said. "What's that?" I asked. She lifted her hand and showed off a ring. "Tied the knot last Saturday. You sent a Bucellati torch on salad serving spoons." That must have been Julie," I mumbled. "Anyway, congrats on that." "Thanks." I put on my doctor's smile, which had once been my irresistible one. "You take care now, Mrs. McCoy, and don't forget to call if anything comes up, and if the other eye starts acting up. We'll take care of that too." Then I walked towards the door. The nurse followed me outside. She handed me the papers and I signed them. As usual, I didn't even have to use my own pen. She smiled shyly and disappeared back through the door, back to the patient whose name I would forget as soon as I entered the elevator again and pushed the button that would take me back to my office. So many faces, so many destinies, and yet they made no impact whatsoever on me. I was doing something good, I kept telling myself. I was actually helping these people. Being able to see is one of the most fundamental things in a human life, and she would definitely have gone blind if she hadn't come to the clinic. So yes, I was helping her. I was helping people just as I had always wanted. It just didn't do anything for me. "Miss Langa is on line 1, Julie said as I passed her desk on my way back into my office, the place that had become my hideout, my sanctuary during the past few years. Mrs. Langa. How Heather despised being called that name. Once we got married, she wanted me to take her father's name instead, since my Danish name was too hard for anyone to pronounce. But I had refused. She had gotten her way in so many other areas where I didn't want to fight her, but on this one subject, I wouldn't bend. It was my family name, and I wanted to keep it. I wanted my son to have it and pass it on. I owed my father that much. My father, who was so proud of me, even though it meant there would be no one to take over his practice in Denmark once he was gone. My father, who was now all alone in that big old white house that I had grown up in. The same house where my mother had died when I had been no more than 13. I sighed as I stepped inside the office to my big mahogany desk that had become just as intimidating in size to visitors as Dr. Kirk's had been to me when I sat in front of him while he had offered me the opportunity to one day take over his clinic and marry his daughter. The light next to line 1 on the phone was flashing red, signaling that someone was waiting.